So I'm going to go ahead and start the lab. And what we are doing, I'm going to show you what our basic goal is here real quick. Oh, where did we put that? You ever had this problem? You download something, you're like, oh man, crap, where did that go? And then you're like, I'm going to have to download it again. And then you remember where it is because it overwrites it. I'm not at that point, I just hate it when that happens. So let's see. So we've got our basic table family. Okay, this is our goal. All right, this is what we're going to be making in the lab right now. So let's start. No more of this blah, blah, blah. Let's just do it. All right, let's go. So I'm going to start a new family. Not a new project, because that's what I just did. New family. And why not? Let's go ahead and start with the furniture template. Show you a couple things real quick. Why the furniture template? Ooh, good question, Carl. Let's go into category and parameters. Look what this already has set up. There's some really good things here that you need to notice, okay? First of all, the family category is furniture. It's a table. So the next thing you need to notice, anybody familiar with omni-class numbers? What is this? What is an omni-class number? Well, if you don't want to have to deal with it, start using templates because it's already filled in. This is kind of like, let's say your Suites catalog number. I know you're familiar with Suites catalog. Yeah, CSI numbers. Yeah, I know you know those. This is kind of the same thing. Already filled out. Okay. So we're in our furniture template. What's the first thing we do? Yes, reference planes. All right. We've already planned this out. Let's assume we know we're doing a table. We know that we're going to have a length, a width, a height, depth, tabletop, right? What do I do now? Dimensions. We know that we want this to be equal to around the center. So here we go. We're going to equalize these out. And we're going to throw some dimensions on here. Now what? I've got the bones. I've got the tissue, right? Yeah. So now what do we do? Labels. That's right. Somebody's paying attention. Add parameters. This is going to be our width. We're going to put in our dimensions. We're going to keep it a type parameter for now. We'll go into instance parameters later. We're going to label this one length, dimensions, type parameter. Everything else is filled in. We don't need any of that other stuff right now. All right? And just for cleanliness sake, we're going to go ahead and make this something that's a little bit table-like. All right? Now, a couple things that I'm going to do real quick is demonstrate this real quick. The EQ. I know somebody here has had this problem where you change a dimension and you see where this reference plane is? So if I change this to 5, oh, well, it went to the middle. Well, what happens when I do this? Right? Reference planes equal. Watch. Whoa! It definitely did not center on that center line. If I do length or width. Oh, they're the same right now. Look at that. So Yeah, length 10. So you notice that it's not centering around the reference plane. And the reason is, if I come up here to this equal sign, or sorry, if I hit the reference plane, look where it's anchored. This is what's sitting still. This reference plane is what's determining where these move, okay? You can have fun with it and drag this anchor, you know, wherever you want, but I would recommend doing it one of these two ways. The first is this. Pin it. If you don't want it to move, pin it. All right? If I do that example again, and pin this, and then equal it out. Dimension, and the next step of the cha-cha, label. There we go. Constraints are not defined. Why did that happen? Anyone know? I've got a good idea. Now that it's equaled out, let's do it. Nope, still no dice. Well, why isn't this working, Carl? Why is this not working? Well, probably because I pinned it. Let's see what happens now. But still not anchoring right. Well, this is one of the frustrations of Revit. You know, you demonstrate something that doesn't work the way you want it to. Go ahead, Will.
So if you undo a second or two, I'll show you. If you grab that, grab the reference planes, and you'll notice that on the top left-hand corner, grab the center reference plane, and then above the top left corner, that anchor, that is the actual anchor for where the equalize is always going to be. So if you actually, I think if you just click on the anchor, it may cycle through. It's one of those buttons that I never know how the anchor works either. It's one of those things. I thought it was like, there you go. You just drag it over to another reference point.
Yeah. And
that anchor will get you every once in a while.
Yeah, and this is one of the pitfalls that, you know, needed to be demonstrated because it's going to be a frustration when you start doing families.
Yeah, that's one thing that Carl and I both do really well. Everyone is that we want to make sure that you see what the horrors are, and then give you the solution.
So, needless to say, and you'll get the hang of it. It's one of those things where once you get the hang of the process, you'll start to understand how Revit works. And once you're done with the families, you'll have a much deeper understanding of how Revit works. So, needless to say, notice that these are pinned. Okay, if I select this, notice that there is no anchor. Okay, and the reason is because it is pinned. If I unanchor it, what do I have? I have an anchor. If I pin it, no anchor. Okay. Pin the reference plane that you don't want to move. Okay. I've heard a lot of different theories on how this works. Sometimes it has to do with the order in which you draw the reference planes. Sometimes it has to do with the order in which you dimension them. The process should be reference planes, dimension all three, equal, dimension, and then label. Okay. So all of that just to go through that, just so you can see exactly how frustrating this can be later on. All right? Don't get upset and throw your mouse around. We're here for you. You've got my email address. I'll show that again in a minute. So let's move on. We've got these reference planes. What about all this other stuff we're doing? What about the tabletop? We're going to go to our front elevation. I'm going to throw a height in here. I'm going to go ahead and set this. This is just something that I like to do, okay? I like to go ahead and have the reference planes at the dimensions they are. I find that there's less problems. Can you see my hand motions? I'm doing all these crazy, like,